looks like at least part of him's there.
And Blake, we are live.
Yeah, we're live.
Well, you can hear me, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Moria, do you need us to get started as you're working to work through the technical issues?
Nah, you don't need to see my picture. Good evening. Welcome, everyone. Seems like we were just here yesterday. So we're going to start with the pledge. Dr. Blake Silvers, would you do us the honors today?
I will. Please stand.
Your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I
I
pledge
pledge allegiance
to
to
the
the
flag
flag
of
of the United States of America
and
and to the republic for which it stands,
one
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Yeah, I'd like to motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved.
A second.
Thank you, Neil and Roger. Wendy, would you like to call the question?
Yes. Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Caneda,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye. Okay, I'm sorry. Here we go. From the public, do we have anything, Wendy?
We do not. This evening, we don't have any public comments.
Okay. Public hearing. Interfund borrowing. Let's see. Is there anything, Dr. Silvers, you want to say about this?
Yeah, I'm going to turn it over to Dave Wilson. He's prepared to share some notes.
Okay, thank you.
Board members, so every March we do this just in case we need to borrow cash from other funds. Typically in a normal year, the maximum you can borrow from another fund is 75% of that fund's balance. Because the governor and the legislature knew that cash this year was going to be an issue with all the deferrals, they've increased it to borrow up to 85% of that ending fund balance in other funds. But doing so, we have to hold a public hearing. So that's that public hearing. I'm just taking advantage of this opportunity. You never know if we're gonna need that additional 10%. So that's what this is for.
Thank you, David. Any other questions from anyone?
Have we actually had to borrow money from the fund, or is just precautionary?
We did in June with the June to July deferral. We borrowed about $1 million from Fund 20. We've since paid it back, but I am looking at having to borrow come September, October on a temporary basis.
Thank you, Dave.
Yep.
All right. Wendy, anyone from the public on this?
Israel, I think you need to open the public hearing and then close it as well.
Okay, well, I thought I opened it, so I'm officially opening it. Any public comments, Wendy? That was no?
I do not have any.
Okay. So opened it at 7:04 and we'll close it at 7:05. Okay. From the board, Mr. Nelson Martinez.
I have no comments tonight, Israel. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Joanne Caneda.
Hey, folks, good evening. I'm just going to say that I'm very excited to see the in action, the tools that our great teams have defined for our distance learning as we start the school year. I'm excited to hear about the training and the exposure to those tools that we're offering to our staff, and how we're going to help our parents and our students learn this year and be part of our great educational system here at Weisburn. So I congratulate everyone. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure everybody's a little afraid. Everybody's excited. Probably we share a lot of the same emotions. And carry on, proceed. Let's do it. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Ms. Caneda. Mr. Banuelos?
Yes, thank you, Israel. I have two comments today. My first one is I just want to thank all of our district staff, our administration, and our teachers for working so hard and so diligently to get us ready for a start of school here for September 1st. And also thank you to Kiana Brady Clark, our principal at Dana. She wrote a really nice, thoughtful email with regards to instructions for parents and how to pick up their students' class schedules, writers' workshops, and notebooks and documents. I really enjoy seeing the communication with parents so that we know what to expect as the new year starts. My son Alex will be starting 7th grade there at Dana, so it was very useful in terms of getting that email as well. So on a personal note, I just wanted to say thank you, and to continue our communication with our community and parents. Looking forward to this school year, albeit abnormal as it may be. It's something that I think there's been a lot of great planning with great deliberation that has gone on. So looking forward to the school year. And then my second comment is just wanted to share a little bit of an update to the community in terms of with regards to Da Vinci Schools, as there are 2 open board member seats for the Da Vinci board that are only open to Wiseburn residents. That is something that is incredibly important as our local high school, Wiseburn High School, home of the Da Vinci schools, to have community representation on that Da Vinci board. So I wanted to share with the community and thank all the people that have submitted applications for those appointments. We received 18 applications, so there was a lot of tremendous interest. Next steps will be to shortlist from those candidates and do interviews. More to come on that, but thank you to the community and the members that have expressed their interest in Da Vinci Schools. They are a key part of Wiseburn. So I wanted to say thank you to those that applied. Look forward to the next steps in our process. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Banuelos. Dr. Goldman?
Thank you, Israel. Well, since you mentioned it, Roger, thank you to you and to Israel for representing Wiseburn in that process and the diligent time you spent on that. I have a couple comments along 2 themes. The first is support and encouragement, kind of along the lines of Ms. Caneda's comments, so thank you, Joe. And the second is communication and measurement. The first, support and encouragement to our teachers, to our students, to our families. I know teachers, your PD starts next week. I'm hoping this is a great experience for you. I want to encourage you and support you in your journey to learn all these tools and use them and continue our great education here. And to our students and our families, as you start the next week after that, since we won't have a board meeting before then, I wish you the best of success, good luck, and encourage everybody along the path. Want to keep us informed, keep learning, keep communicating to us and everyone how it's going so we can continue learning, because this will be a learning process. And much like we're teaching our kids that they have to keep learning into the future, we need to do the same. The second, on communication and measurement, first is on public input. I would like to challenge us actually to find a way in these public forums, or rather in this Zoom new digital environment, where many more people more easily have access to hearing us. I'd like to also give them the opportunity to talk with us. Can we find a way or explore ways that public forums could be live on these sessions? There must be a way to do it. I'd like us to encourage us to find a way so people don't have to think about these things days in advance, but can actually respond in the time allotted. The second is, and the last thing, is that I'm super excited that we are getting to item 6.1 on our agenda tonight, which is the assurances and pillars, because they will help us create the foundation built on feedback from our community, from our teachers, from our administrators, on what are the core elements of what we're seeking to build. This will help inform our LCAP, and most importantly, give us the tools to create measurements to keep us accountable to doing what's best for our kids. So those are my comments, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman. I want to repeat what Dr. Goldman said, and that's to keep us informed. I feel that's a critical component. Our community needs to keep our teachers, our principals, our administrators, the board informed if you're having challenges. If there's anything we can do to help, we want to be here to help you. So great statement, and I really concur. Also wanted to comment on an item later on the that's coming up, and that's an agreement with Hope Education Research to provide implicit bias training. And I just feel that's a great, very important training that very important in these times. And want to just comment on that. I think that's a great item, and I encourage all the board members to support that. All right, that's all I have for today.
Israel, I want to make one comment about what you just said about the bias, implicit bias training. You know,
Sure.
some of us work for big companies, some of us work for small companies. I happen to work for a large company, and it's Boeing. Okay, so we have training like this every year. We have, as I'm a manager, so part of what we need to be aware of and how we hire, how we interview, how we evaluate people, how we talk to people, how we approach others is something we do every day. And it is really, really important to understand ourselves and to refresh those elements about ourselves, how we think, how we speak, how we look, the body language we have when we do things with others. And so to my mind, this kind of training is useful from a larger perspective as well, from communicating with others and understanding how we do that. I don't know if we're going to videotape people or, you know, if they can actually see themselves in action as they speak. But I think I find myself occasionally and often surprised at things that might come out of my mouth or that I might say to others that can be misconstrued. It's fine when you're writing something, you can think about, oh, if I use this word, is it going to come across correctly or not? But there's a lot of times when you're speaking, you'll just come out with stuff. And it's important to have training on a regular basis. I find it very valuable, and I know that our company, at least where I work, finds it very valuable as well. And we've done it every year that I've been there, which is a long time. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Kaneda. Our company as well does it yearly, and I think it's very valuable. So that's a great start for us. Moving on to, oops. All right, from our chief business official, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. A couple comments tonight. I want to let the board know that we're aware that there's some concerns about water leakage at the Anza roof. I think some staff made a comment that during the rainy season this past winter, there were some spots that were leaking. And so in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to work with Bill and Annie. We're going to evaluate, probably hire an outside consultant, an actual roof expert to provide an analysis and evaluation of all of our roofs. And then also within the next couple of weeks, I'll be working again with Annie and Bill to kind of put together a maintenance list of all of our maintenance projects and kind of when the due dates are of when those projects should be completed. And right now is a great time. We should take advantage of when the students aren't there, so we can get in and work around all the things that we need to do without interfering in students. So we'll probably bring that list to the board back in September, hopefully the first board meeting in September with our list of what's required, maybe a price tag, hopefully, and when the due dates are, when we would like to complete these projects by. The second item I have is Dr. Neil Goldman asked me to look into possibly refunding or refinancing our existing bonds. A few years ago, we did it. We refunded bonds 2 Decembers in a row. And I think there was we got burnt out about doing it 2 years in a row. So the board set 4 parameters at the time that would need to be required to be met in order to consider refinancing. So I can give you the 4 parameters. The first parameter was the total cost of issuance was not to exceed 1.5% of the total refunded bonds. Second parameter, the average single family household must save at least $300 over the course of the refunding. Of course, the refunding is usually between 20 and 30 years. The top 10 taxpayers must see a combined savings of at least $3 million over the course of the refunding. And then lastly, the total savings to all taxpayers has to be in excess of $5 million over the course of the refunding. We recently were approached by Tim Carty at Piper Jaffray. I think you all remember him. We interviewed him back earlier this year. There's a current possibility to only getting one of the 4 parameters met. And the only parameter met right now would be the estimated cost of issuance. We said it had to be less than 1.5, and he's proposing 1.12%. All of the other parameters weren't met. But there's another opportunity in 2022 where all 3 of the 4 parameters could be met. And those parameters would be yes on the less than 1.5% per issuance. It'd actually be 0.79%. The average single family household savings over the course of the refunding, 317. The minimum was 300. The top 10 taxpayer savings over the course of the refunding. This was the one that was not met. It's only about 1.7 million. We said it had to be 3. Total savings to all taxpayers over the course of the refunding. We said it had to be more than 5 million, and this comes in at 6.8 million. So, I could either, if you're interested, we could work on a refunding now. We could work on a refunding in 2022. It's really at the discretion of the board. I'd be happy to entertain whatever you guys would like.
Would anyone have any comments on that?
I'm sorry, just for context, Dave, could you just share what the time commitment from you is so we have an idea of what that would look like?
It's spread out of the course of a couple months usually, and it's probably 60 to 80 hours worth of work. And I don't mind doing it. It's something that it definitely benefits our constituents, our taxpayers. But it is a lot of work. I'm not afraid to do the work.
You asked for comments, Israel. We set those parameters for a reason. I think if we're comfortable with the parameters still, then it sounds like it makes sense to wait till 2022.
Agreed.
And one caveat, that's based on current market conditions.
Right.
So it could change depending on the economy, things of that nature.
What are some of the factors that go into the calculations? Is it, when you say market conditions, do you know what that is?
Mainly interest rates, what the
Okay.
bonds are selling for.
Okay.
All right. Any other comments? Should we move forward? Okay. Anything else, David?
That's all I have.
Mr. Wilson, thank you so much. From the Director of Student Support Services, Dr. Dugal.
We're just excited to start school in about a week. We have a lot of things coming up for our students and our teachers, but looking forward to seeing everyone virtually starting next week.
All right.
I
Thank
have a
you.
question. Is it possible for us, or we board members, to pop in and out of any of that training that's going on? I would love to see, to understand the dashboards and the ways of collecting information and distributing information. Is there, I wouldn't expect I could do the whole thing, but is it possible?
Yes.
Eileen's shaking her head. Yes, so
Yes.
that's a good sign.
Yes, absolutely. It would be wonderful. Yeah.
I would love to, I don't know how we do that. Maybe we just talk separately after the meeting, or, next week or later. Well, there's not much time, right? It's just tomorrow. And figure out what some opportunities might be. I would really love to see that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Ms. Kaneda. Okay. Moving forward from the Assistant Superintendent of Educational Services, Dr. Harbeck.
Thank you, President Mora. I'm happy to spend a few minutes just talking about the upcoming week of professional learning for our teachers. It's just amazing that we're going to have 5 full-day opportunities to go deep into not just curriculum, but strategies, and also time for our teachers to work together. So we kick off on Monday and Tuesday looking at a deep dive of curriculum and how to customize courses based on our students' needs. So we'll have schools personalized learning program working with our TK through 5 teachers. We've split it into 2 workshops so that's grade level specific, TK through 2 and 3 through 5th, very different needs at those grade levels. So we want to make sure we target our instruction or our workshops. Over at Dana, they'll be working with Arizona State University, going for a look at how they can use that content to support their teaching as well. The day begins with a staff meeting where all teachers come together, probably for the first time since we left school in June, with their principals. And our care team is partnering with the principals to really offer them the opportunity to use that time with staff to talk about self-care and to talk about emotional needs of students and what's coming, so that we're all thinking, about our kids and also ourselves as we're moving into this week of learning and this year of distance learning possibly. The afternoon, after we learn from our experts from the curriculum companies, we will go into what we call TCT, or teacher collaboration time. Teachers will be by grade level or by departments with their partners at Dana Middle School. PLP is going to stick around and have an open Zoom for teachers that want to pop in and out as well. So if you need a little more, didn't get your questions answered, there's an opportunity to do that as well. We move on to Wednesday and Thursday again with those staff meetings to start the day. And these 2 days are focused on strategies. So our distance learning strategies, how can we do it right? Arizona State University has a very long history of distance learning expertise. We feel very confident that they know what they're doing and are going to bring the best kind of teaching to us. Their theme is thriving as a distance teacher, and all of our staff will be talking about best practices, creating a classroom community, building relationships, and most of all, maintaining motivation and engagement. Very difficult at a distance with our kids, and we definitely need some strategies there, as all teachers do. We're also going to talk about academic integrity at a distance and how we work with students to understand how we own our own learning and portray ourselves online, and also through our submission of activities and assignments. So we wrap up the week on Friday. We go back to curriculum for a retouch with that to see where we're at, if people need more time with that. Schools PLP will be there, as well as ASU. And then we wrap it up the day up with putting it all together, teacher success in the classroom. And this is where we have 4 through 8 and TK through 5 again separated to work with ASU about strategies. We wrap up every day with a survey so we understand where we're at in terms of our learning. And now survey results are sent immediately to our presenters so they're aware of where staff feels things went the day before. So we want to make sure we're always getting constant feedback through the week. So feel really good. I'm excited about having 5 days. I don't think anybody's thinking that this is not something that's fantastic, and hopefully we can keep that going a long time. I just want to mention too that next week, on top of all the training, all the good work our teachers are going to be doing with their principals, Anza, Cabrillo, 138th, and Dana are all having back to school chats for their parents. And these are going to be open meetings. Some are in the evening, some are during the day. They have it spaced out. They are going to videotape them for if a parent should miss it. They could click on a link on the website then and catch that information as well. We want to make sure they had that time with parents so that they had a sense of comfort coming in. This backs up to the materials pickup days as well, so that our parents know what they're going in to pick up and how school is going to start. We have, I just want to point out that you mentioned Dana, Mr. Benuelos. Dana is doing a 6th grade, of course, parent chat on Thursday, but it's being followed by a Where Everybody Belongs activity with their incoming 6th grade students. This was a program started years ago, really is a live program, and somehow the teachers at Dana have been able to transition it to an online virtual experience. And this is where 8th graders mentor 6th grade students in pods of 10. And it's just a powerful program. I'm so glad. I just want to compliment the school on keeping that going. So that's all part of Thursday's parent chat and web connection between 6th and 8th graders. So a great kickoff for all of our schools really in the next week. A lot of work, but very excited and everybody's on board. And really, we just can't wait to start. So.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dr.
And that
Harbin.
closes my report. Thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Really wonderful information. Very nice. All right, from our superintendent, Dr. Silvers.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Just a few updates for me tonight. First, I want to thank our entire Wiseburn team for putting us in the best position possible as we welcome our students back. I agree with Dr. Dougal that we're eager and excited to see our students, although it may be virtually. We're still really excited about the start of the new school year. I'd be remiss if I didn't point out the work that our principals have done and that Eileen and Sarah have done to prepare for not only the PD week next week, but also for the launch of the school year. We're unraveling two very, very robust programs, and it's a quick turnaround. So I just want to thank the Ed Services team for that, and our principals for the leadership in that regard. So we're really excited to see the smiling faces of our students come back as we are able to engage in that curriculum. No one right now knows exactly when we're going to actually be able to return to campus. And so there's a lot of numbers and a lot of data in the news. And so I'm not going to get too much into that. I do want to share one number that we're monitoring pretty closely, and that's the number of infections per, or number of, yes, I guess it'd be the number of people that are, that have the virus per 100,000 residents. And right now it stands at about 230. It's quite a difference from last week when we were, I believe, in the low 400s. So we are seeing a decline in that number. And the reason why I share that is because at 200 is when TK through 6 schools may apply for waivers. So that could be in the news. It could be information that the board will hear via news articles, again, or even in other local media outlets. And I just want to share that it's not a mandate by any means to open schools and to apply for this waiver. I just want to share that there will be some media following districts as they make decisions, and private schools as they make decisions about reopening. But again, we have to take a look at the whole picture. We have to take a look at what's safe and if it's really a safe time in our local area to open schools or to apply for a waiver. And again, there's so many moving parts to that. I also want to specify that that would only be for TK to 6, would be eligible for that waiver at that point. The other number that we're looking at would be when we reach 100, and at 100 per 100,000 residents is the point in which all TK through 12 schools could open. And again, it's a could. The prospect of bringing a million students in LA County back to school is still a heavy lift, and it still poses a real threat, or a real health threat or health concern to the entire community. So we want to weigh that heavily as well. As I've shared before, once students return to campus, assuming there's no cure and no vaccine, there will be local outbreaks, and that's what's come about in my phone calls with local health experts and local superintendents. We're all gearing up for the fact that at some point, with no cure and no vaccine, we just have to be mindful of what the outcome could be. Children are getting sick. The most recent research as of this morning suggests that children actually carry a higher load of a higher viral load is what they call it than adults. And they're still navigating this data. They're parsing it out. They're analyzing it. But health experts are saying the bottom line is kids will transmit the virus. And so that's an important point of context for us as an administrative staff and for the board to know as well. So as we look to reopen, our procedures and protocols are going to have to be very clean, and we're going to have to be very specific about following those protocols, what protocols are put in place, and we're just going to have to leave no stone unturned as we look to science, or all the science that's available to us to reopen and to support the health and safety of our students. I also want to share, again, to reiterate, childcare, it's something that we put a lot of work into. I want to thank Dr. Dougal for a tremendous amount of work she put to really try and lift a childcare program. But some of the things that we looked at, and I shared this at the last meeting, was wanting to make sure that we could offer a program that would be safe, that would be affordable, and that would allow access to a number of our families. And we couldn't meet that criteria. And so at this point, we're not able to open, or I would recommend us not opening childcare yet. We do plan, though, for the record, we do plan on opening at one point. We're going to have a facility. We're going to have a nice new facility. And we do plan to open at one point. We're just not sure at what point that is, when we can kind of get a mesh of all these conditions mixed together to make it the right time to open. And so we'll keep our community informed. And I think that Dr. Dougal will share a little bit when we get, actually, Dr. Dougal, do you want to just share maybe a little bit about the refund process or potential refund process for families?
Sure. Thanks, Dr. Silvers. As Dr. Silvers mentioned, we are continuing to explore options for childcare for our Wiseburn families, but at this time, we won't have a program. When we reopen, priority will be given to families who are currently enrolled and that have a paid deposit and registration fee in place. Parents, should you want to request a refund or a deposit on those registration fees, we do have a form for that. Just know that a refund will remove you from the priority list. And so when we open, you will need to re-register should you wish to join the program. Kind of a note for everyone, and we'll send this out electronically as well, is should you wish to receive a refund, please email us at enrollment@wiseburn.org. Once again, it's enrollment@wiseburn.org. And we can answer any questions and also send you the link to fill out the form. Thanks.
And so we will be exploring that. I know, as Dr. Dougal shared, we'll send a message out to our families as well through SchoolMint, our registration option. This was really, a like I said, it was a huge effort to try and get to the point that we could open, and unfortunately, again, the conditions just didn't meet the criteria that would have allowed us to bring students back safely onto our campus. So just wanted to share that. Also want to talk a little bit about communications. That has been a task that the board has, it's been a need in the district. I know the board has voiced on several occasions the desire to have better communications with our families. And I just want to thank both Erica Corder and Jason Neely, who have been helping with our communication efforts, trying to create our website to be more user-friendly. And it's not perfect. We still go there and there's still some outdated pages that we're working on updating. And we do plan to have those updated and rolled out here in the next couple of weeks. And then we plan to stay on top of that so that the information that families go to first, we know people click on websites. That's what they do. It's how we access information quickly. And we want to make sure that's the most accurate information possible. So we are actively working on that. We're definitely committed to making sure that we do a good job with communication to the best of our ability. And I just wanted to give a shout out to those folks that are working really hard behind the scenes on that. That's it for me, Mr. Mora. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Silvers. All right, we're moving on to minutes. We have 5.1 to 5.5. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Thank you, Ms. Pineda. Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Wendy, would you like a roll call?
Yes. Mr. Benuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, action items general. Would you like to take them one at a time or 6.1 to 6.5?
I have a question on one.
We could do one at a time, I think.
All right, 6.1, received Wiseburn Strategic Plan Assurances, commitments for second reading and possible adoption.
I definitely would like to motion this one.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman.
I would love to second, and I have a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Angelos. Go ahead.
My comment was that's the reason I wanted to take them individually, because I wanted to express my appreciation and thank you to Dr. Goldman for leading this effort that led us to have these pillars and for a second reading today for a possible adoption. They do form our structure, and it really will help inform the decisions that we make in the future. I really would like to say thank you, Dr. Goldman, for really putting so much hard work, time, and dedication to getting these completed, presenting in such a great fashion. The write-up that it goes along with each of the pillars was also, I think, is excellent. I know that the board contributed and discussed those items, but it was also a very inclusive process there. But so I just want to say thank you. Thank you for leading that effort for us. Thank you, Dr. Goldman.
Well, thank you, Roger, and thank you to the community, if I may, just because this was a collaborative effort. And that's one of our pillars. So it's nice to live into that. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Goldman, very much for all your effort.
Yeah, I want to mention thank you to Neil as well, because we, I think a lot of the discussion and a lot of the artifact that goes along with the pillars are things that we would say, oh yeah, that's what we believe, or that's what we think is important. But now we've documented it. And I think there's such power in documentation. There's power in the discussion. There's also power in the documentation. And the fact that we have an artifact, we have a graphic that we can share and review at our leisure as well. And that is really powerful. And I know, Neil, you led us along a path that was really good. And sometimes we were kicking and screaming because it was too much work. But it was much appreciated. And I think we ended up with a set of, with information and descriptions and diagrams. It's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Wendy, would you like to call a question?
Yes. Mr. Benuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye, both hands.
Ms. Canetta,
Yes, aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Absolutely, aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye. Okay, would you like me to take 6.2 to 6.5 or continue one at a time?
6.2 to 6.5.
Yeah.
Nelson,
I have
would you
a
like to
comment
know?
on 6.4, if that's okay.
Sure.
That was my question as well, so please.
Okay, 1 second. Did we get a second?
A second.
Thank you, Joanne. Okay, David?
Yes. So the joint powers agreement with LACO, it's $10.20 per employee, and we're projecting almost 300 employees. So the cost, which is not in the agenda item, is $3,050.
Thank you.
And Mr. Moore, we'll try and make sure that we have that type of detail on the agenda, so you don't have to go searching through the backup docs.
We appreciate that. Thank you. All right.
Does this replace an EAP program that we'd had before? Definitely support an EAP program, but did we not have one and this is new, or is it replacing one?
Anna, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, we used to participate in the EASE program, Employee Assistance Program, more than 10 years ago. Due to budget cuts, we never brought it back, but this year we've thought that it would be a necessity given all the issues our employees are facing. It was an economical way to provide some type of support, even for part-time employees who maybe are not covered under health insurance.
Hear, hear.
Okay, great.
All right. Any other questions?
I have a comment, Israel, on item 6.5. Item 6.5 is to ratify an agreement with Hope Education Research Solutions. This is a consultant that will actually be providing the implicit bias training that we were just talking about earlier today. I'd like to just say thank you for bringing this forward. I think for what it represents, it is really in line with the pillars that we just approved in 6.1. The first item was, or one of the items is to develop an understanding of diversity, equity, and inclusion. So the fact that we've adopted the pillars and now we're also taking action so that we can share information and train as many people as we can and bring attention to it, it is really in line with the pillars that we just adopted. So this is a great step, taking action to move it forward. So thank you for doing this. I really look forward to supporting this item as well.
Could I jump into, Mr. Mora? Could I ask Dr. Dugal just to share a quick context of the process and what the implicit bias training will look like?
Please,
Great.
go ahead.
Awesome, thank you. So the implicit bias training in the contract will state that we will start off with a keynote speaker. So on the first day that teachers return on August 31st, Zaid Gale will be, the executive director will be giving the keynote speech for that opening day. Following that, in the next 2 weeks, the first 2 weeks of school, each school site will be participating in an additional 4 hours of training. And this will be a virtual experience due to COVID. So it is going to be done virtually, but we're trying to make it as personable as possible in smaller group settings. And so there will be breakout sessions. But looking at some of the goals, we're really going to look at how does implicit bias actually impact our actions and behaviors as educators? So how is that represented in the classroom? We will be discussing the difference between equality and equity, which is a big topic right now, as well as how do these implicit bias actually impact our actions in the world around us? And so we want to take a global approach as well as a personal classroom approach as well for our teachers. And so this is, part one of hopefully an ongoing process with our staff in terms of how we operate as a district, what we value, and what belief systems that we want to set ourselves on. So this is the start of hopefully ongoing dialogue and discussion around this.
Thank you.
Thanks. I have a question, Dr. Dugal. This is really valuable learning and exchange, because I'm sure there'll be discussion about the topics as we go through. Does our counseling staff offer, do we do this with our kids, with our students at all? Or do we have any way of introducing these kinds of topics in a classroom setting?
And so that is what we'd like to do, right? Is kind of grow organically, authentically grow this from within our teaching staff, as well as, going to our students, to even to parent workshops. And so that is one of kind of our long-term goals, is to continue this dialogue at the student level, at the parent level, community level. So making it a larger project than only just classrooms.
Thank you. That's great. Thanks.
All right, anyone else? All right, Wendy, can you call the 6.2 to 6.5?
Yes, Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye. Moving on to 7 action items, 7.1 to 7.6.
You have
Any
a
reason
motion?
not to do these together?
You have a motion?
Thank you.
I'll second.
Oh, go ahead. Fine.
Roger, second. Any questions? 7.1 to 7.6.
Mr. Mora, I have a couple comments as well.
Go ahead, David.
7.3 and 7.4 are the piggybacks. We have about in total, this is 2 of 5 or 2 of 6 piggybacks. Since 14-15, we've received over almost close to $600,000 in piggyback revenue, which helps fund our deferred maintenance project. So this is, this is good for us.
Yeah, so kudos to Vince and everyone involved in this in the past. Thank you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you very much.
And a comment question, Dave, especially with the unusual COVID expenditures we're having, is there any way that we can take advantage or create any new piggyback relationships?
We could look into it. Absolutely.
I
Gotta
think
pay for
Nelson's
that roof.
volunteering to help. Is that right, Nelson?
Thank you, Nelson.
Mr. Benuelos and Mr. Martinez, any ideas? I'd be happy to entertain them.
Yeah, I saw their hands go up.
Mr. Moore, I have a comment. You did go 7, did you go all the way to 7.6? I'm sorry.
I did.
Okay. Just comment 7.5 and 7.6. So these are both ratifies. We did bring back to the board, or we brought to the board, I'm sorry, back, gosh, in September, October, as we were planning our preschool and expanding some options for our childcare. And so we had committed to purchase a modular that was going to be created specifically with an office space for special ed offices, assessment space, as well as 2 classrooms. And then we also redid 4 classrooms at the Del Air site to create a preschool. Again, then that would open up more extended day program spots at our school site. So best of intentions when we made this commitment back in September, October, and then unfortunately, we fell into the era of COVID or COVID situation that we're currently in. So this will be a long-term solution to a current problem in terms of childcare and preschool. But again, I just wanted to clarify why it's a ratify, why it looks like we're putting down some modulars that we're not going to use initially. That's all.
Okay, thank you very much. We fully understand that. Unless any other questions, we can, Wendy, can you call 7.1 to 7.6?
Yes. Mr. Benuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Caneda,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye. All right, moving on to 8 action items, 8.1 to 8.7. I need a motion.
A motion.
Thank you, Ms. Caneda. Second, Mr.
Second.
Martinez. Any questions?
Just one comment, Israel, on item 8.4. Just like to highlight that we are entering into an agreement with T-Mobile for those 100 hotspots so that we can provide internet access for our students. I want to make sure that I want to just thank our staff for doing that, because having access to this distance learning and curriculum will be of the utmost importance. If you can't log on, then you can't be a part of it. So thank you for doing that and for taking that proactive step.
I have a question. The contract, in fact, I was going to ask this question. The contract says we're, contracting with T-Mobile for 100. Do we pay for the ones we use, or do we pay for all 100 to be able to have them available to us? Do you know how that works?
Dave, you want me to answer?
Yes,
Uh,
please.
It's a continuous payment whether you're using it or not.
Okay.
And it's a 1-year agreement. So, they may sit, we may, and I'll just share with you, we're offering parents opportunities that we know about from various companies for discounted access to Wi-Fi if they choose to participate. We're looking for free options continually. And if need be, we will order more hotspots.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I had a question on 8.3, not significant dollars here, but what is this multimedia service they're providing? It's unspecific, so I couldn't tell from the proposal what it was.
Eileen, you see that, right? Laco Multimedia. You're on mute.
So I'm sorry, CalSNAP is a safe way to get for teachers to allow students to do research. It's culled, it's vetted, and it's really an ideal way for teachers to use research and inquiry in a safe space. It's bundled with what we call Brain Pop, which is a small program that's very popular with kids and with teachers for learning. It's just an add-on engagement piece, but also a learning piece. So it comes together, and LACO has always been terrific about training or anything that we need. But CalSNAP is a bundle, and it's for primarily for research at any age.
Thank you.
All right. And no other questions? Wendy, please call 8.1 to 8.7.
Thank you. Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye.
Thank you.
Action items consent 9.1 to 9.16.
I'd like to move.
Thank you, Mr. Banuelos.
You have a second?
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Any questions?
Just specificity on 913. It's not immaterial dollars, so just a little clarity there, please.
Nisha, you wanna clarify?
Yes, Wendy, can you just pull down a little bit so I can see 9.3?
With 9.13, it's
913.
master
Yes.
contracts.
Oh, got it. Thank you. These are the special education contracts for students with our non-public agencies and additional support services. So we went ahead and looked through them. We are actually saving money than we did last year. We've matched up each student with the services. And so these are kind of routine every year for our contracts.
Thank you. Any other questions? All right, let's call Wendy the question 9.1 to 9.16.
Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Yes, aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye. Action items personnel 10.1 to 10.7. Do we have a motion?
You have a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Martinez.
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Caneda. And any questions on these folks?
Just a comment. We're losing some great staff and wishing them well. A personal shout out to Miss Guidi, who in her first year taught one of my daughters. So God bless on your journey. Thank you for your service, and much success to you.
You're here. All right, any other comments? Wendy, if you could call 10.1 to 10.7.
Yes, Mr. Banuelos,
Aye.
Dr. Goldman,
Aye.
Ms. Canetta,
Aye.
Mr. Martinez,
Aye.
Mr. Mora.
Aye. All right, looking at upcoming dates and events. Professional Learning Week, August 24th to the 28th. Keynote speaker presentation and State of the District, Monday, August 31st. First day of school, Tuesday, September 1st. Unbelievable already. JPA meeting is Wednesday, September 2nd. Blake, do you know if that one's even happening? Because usually they get canceled.
It is happening.
Okay. Labor Day will be Monday, September 7th. Back to school nights are yet to be determined, and the next regular board meeting is Thursday, September 10th.
So
Wow, we
President
get
Mora-
3 weeks just for you, Neil.
I do have a quick update on those on the back to school nights, if that's
Oh,
all
good.
right.
Yeah.
We've had to move them around a little bit because of calendaring. So Juan Cabrillo is set for Wednesday, September 2nd. They've moved it up. They felt it was important for parents to come earlier in the year than later. We were able to keep the 138th Street date on 9/9. And Dana Middle School will be on Thursday, September the 3rd. We are TBD on Anza. They were also calendared on our next board meeting night, so we are moving that, and we'll let you know.
So
Those
can
are all
we get,
virtual.
yeah, can we, Wendy, or maybe you can help us
Well,
by
Yeah,
sending out
we'll send that.
information? Or
We absolutely
Blake,
will.
somebody, yeah, send
Yeah.
it to us, please.
Absolutely.
As
And-
well as the state of the, what's it called here? The state of the,
The union?
yeah, that's what's on August 31st.
Yes,
Hey, Blake, just keep it under 3 hours, can you?
we will. 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Thank you, and thanks,
and-
Wendy.
Mr.
Any
Moore, I
other-
have one
anybody-
item. I'm
Go
sorry,
ahead.
I just was gonna have one item for closed. Just one follow-up item for closed.
Man, oh, man.
We have, I think we have 5 nay votes here. Mike.
I'm not sure you're gonna have a quorum.
I don't know, man.
I promise by 8, we'll be done by 8. I promise.
Blake, do you promise this is really important?
I really promise.
All right, on that, we adjourn and it's 7:55. Please jump into close, guys, 7:55.
All right.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Are we going back to the, are we staying on or are we
We'll
going
go on
back
to
No, we're
second
going to
close.
close.
second close?